So October 1st, 2017 arrives. We're out with the guys, all four of us hunting some public property. I had to go with my plan B tree stand spot because of the wind. Well, it all worked out for me. About 10 o'clock, I had a nice doe come in. Here's the hunt. So that doe was at 15 yards, guys. She came out of nowhere about 10 o'clock. I thought I smacked her real good. She took off. I saw her run about 60, 70 yards, and then got real thick, couldn't see anymore. So I got down, was looking for arrow and some blood. I didn't really find any blood, didn't find the arrow at first. Started walking up the trail she took, found a little bit of blood. So I started taking the trail a little bit, and then I ended up bumping her. So I backed out and gave her a couple hours, came back with Kyneth and my dad. So we started picking up the blood, and about 50 or 60 yards from where she got bumped, she really started losing blood. So we ended up finding her. Super pumped, nice 130-pound doe.
October 2nd, shot the biggest buck that I had shot to date. That was the second day of the season, hunting that piece of private property I spoke about. It was weird because I got set up, and about 10 minutes before light I had a guy come and set up about 30 yards from me. So I wasn't expecting to see much. Nonetheless, about 20-30 minutes after light, I had a few deer come walking a stream. I was hunting a stream, and they came walking the opposite side of it, about 30 yards from me. I was able to get a good shot on the biggest of the two bucks, and it was a beautiful 9-point, good body on him, about a 32-33 yard shot. Threw a bunch of brush, but I actually got him, nailed him. He dropped on the spot, so no track job. Great deer. I was pumped, man. I was pumped. I was shooting Havoc broadheads, also new equipment for me this year. I had put a trail cam out there. He was not one of the deer that I got on trail cam, but I was able to harvest them, so I was jacked.
Next couple weeks I was hunting hard, hunting multiple spots, some spots I usually hunt, and just nothing going on. Didn't see any deer for 2 weeks. Went and checked out my camera where I shot that doe, guys, and my SD card was stolen out of that camera. So I ended up pulling that camera and moving it to a different spot. Let it sit for a couple days, went and checked it, and I had 11 point I was chasing on it and 2 big 8 points on it. So the next 2 days after checking that camera, I planned a 3-day sit down in that spot just to see what happened and see if I could catch those bucks cruising that backside out of the bedding area. And the morning of October 17th, I believe, right at the light, I had 2 does working right towards me. Got them to stop at about 20 yards and put the smack on my second doe. So on that hunt, guys, it was low light conditions. It happened real quick, and I thought I had the camera in a better position, but I didn't. Just barely got the deer in the top right corner of the frame in low light, so it wasn't the greatest footage. which I was disappointed about. But again, on public land, I got to take the opportunities when I can get them. Not seen any deer for a couple weeks. I wanted to get another doe on the ground and fill that doe tag. Immediately finding the arrow, I had no blood. The tip of my broadhead was smushed down, so I was really worried about the shot. Started looking around the area for some blood. Found blood within 10 yards and a lot of it. So I hopped on the blood trail, and she was zigzagging through some real thick stuff, about 125 yards, and I found her. Another beautiful doe, 120 pounds. Super excited to fill my second doe tag on public property in the first 2 weeks of the season.
We all know that sharing a passion for the outdoors unites people. There's finally a clothing brand that does the same. Become part of the section. Join us.
All right, guys, so it's 2017, continues to be on fire. We already have 3 deer down within the first few weeks. And going into the pre-rut, we're getting a lot of great deer on pictures. And you're gonna join me again as I do a camera check and find that big 11 point on a Saturday morning at 10:30, hit one of my mock scrapes. I run to the truck, grab a stand and some sticks, set a stand. Within a few days, I'm in that spot hunting, guys, and I just have a crazy hunt unfold. So I hope you enjoy it. So as you guys saw on that hunt there, I had 2 bucks come in, shot both of them, recovered one, couldn't find the second one. It was just one of those mornings that it was just calm, it was cold, and the pre-rut action was just phenomenal. Public property, I'd never dreamt of that situation happening. It was funny, I was actually in the stand texting and Facebook messaging a couple buddies talking about rattling, and you know, I've done it in the past, no success. I don't do it too often. You know, it's just one of those things I just don't do. Well, talking with those guys, and I just had the idea to do it after talking to them, figured why not. And you know, I'm sure glad I did. It changed my whole entire season in a matter of a few days. Having that 8 point come into that rattling within a few minutes. A nice 20-yard shot. He dropped at 60, all on film. I was full of excitement. Just a small basket 8, but just the hunt, the memory, and just how it all happened. You know, it was worth it for me and for my kids to come out, help me track them. You know, we just made a great afternoon of it, great memory. So I can't complain there. And for me to sit there for another hour waiting for the family to show up, I decided to rattle again, and I never would have thought one of my target bucks, the 8-point with the notch on the left side, I was getting camera pictures of him back in the second week of October. I never thought he was going to show up. We had nighttime pictures, mostly of him running this edge, and for him to show up at 10 in the morning after I rattled, working the same edge out in front of me at about 60 yards, and for him to come in and for me to blow the shot, you know, I'm just totally sick about it. Just a monster buck. He would have been my biggest buck for sure. But you know, I shot him high. So we looked for a couple days, didn't find him. So I'm hoping with the trail camera pole that we're going to be doing, you know, hopefully he shows back up on him, and I can rest a little bit easier about that and try to get after him next year. So family was around Halloween, doing those things with the family. Got back out November 1st in the set, guys, that I was checking out a week before. This was a spot that I was kind of just doing some spot and stalking. It was a rainy day. I was down in the ground blind spot. Nothing was going on. I decided to get out of the blind, just cover some ground on public property with those conditions is not a bad thing to do, guys. So if you're out there, you're second guessing yourself, you want to check out some new spots, you know, those days, those rainy, drizzly days are just great days where you can kind of just slip through some areas nice and quiet. Your scent's going to be washed away. And in this case, guys, is exactly what happened. I got out of the blind, I covered some ground, followed some deer trails. I got down along these intersecting ridges where, you know, there was at least 10 scrapes, fresh scrapes. And I was right back at it within a few days, November 1st. Where I have an encounter with a great 9-point that I shot and tagged out. So hope you enjoyed the hunt. It was a great hunt, guys. As you saw, again, I rattled at about 9:50ish or so. Had this 9-point come in within a few minutes again. Couldn't believe it. Came in checking out the area, worked in down towards me about 15 or 20 yards. Was able to get a nice broadside shot right out in front of me, all on film. Crashing down the ridge at about 60 yards and piled up. And that was a wrap for my season. So it was just a beautiful buck. He's on my wall now. And you know, it was just an end to a great season. Mostly highs, a few lows, but I tell you what, compared to 2016, to tag out with the bow, you know, that's what we all hope for as bow hunters, and I was very thankful for this season. And
so a few weeks went on, hunted pretty hard with no success, seen a few spikes, but I mean, at that point, I was looking for a bigger buck, or a doe, nice sized doe would have been great as well. But hunted for several weeks, same area, nothing. So about Sunday, this would be November 5th, went to church with the family, had a few hours, told the wife I was going to go out, sit for an hour or two. So I got a late start, got set up, same spot where I had pretty much shot the 9-point. I had been hitting the grunt call pretty heavy that sit. I only had about an hour and a half, 2 hours most, so I was trying to make the most of it. So I was hitting that grunt call. Didn't think I was gonna see anything. Hadn't seen anything in about 3-4 weeks. Anyways, 30 minutes before light, see some movement out in the brush, 50, 60 yards away. Couldn't really tell what it was. Hit that grunt pretty hard, snort wheezed a few times, and lo and behold, what ended up being a buck completely changed directions and came right in. And
just snagged a huge buck. Michigan whitetail down.
About 30 minutes, got down, checking for blood, starting to get a little dark out. So couldn't find any blood, which I thought was weird. I was also shooting a Luminoc. I couldn't find the Luminoc. So decided to back out, came home and pulled the footage up on the big screen, and like I had thought, I put a great shot on him, and you can actually hear him crash in the footage. So looked at my wife and I said, you know, it's been a few hours since I shot that buck. It's still pretty early here, about 8 o'clock at night. I said, I'm gonna go out there and give it another shot looking. So I got two of my friends and we went out there and we're looking, and one of my buddies actually found the Luminoc, and not far from the Luminoc was a good amount of blood. So I'm thankful that he was able to find the Luminoc because I wasn't seeing much of anything. Tracked blood for about, maybe 50, 60 yards, and it was some pretty thick stuff. It was in a swamp, tall grass, a lot of thickets. But he was laid up there, right in the tall grass. Big, beautiful 8-point, biggest buck to date once again. So I was completely jacked. I was tagged out on bucks November 5th, so I was just ecstatic. I was ecstatic. Like I said, it was a great season. New equipment, new property, so a lot of firsts for me this year. A couple things that I would like to improve on for the upcoming season is to get better camera footage. Still kind of working some kinks out, trying to get my own style of filming while in the tree stand. So that's the goal number one. Number two, do a little more scouting. I got a pretty good lay of the land, but do a little more scouting, hang a few more stands.
As for team member Jim Laney, guys, he became a new dad right before the season. He got on a new shift at work. He was out. He had some encounters with some smaller deer. Unfortunately for him, guys, he wasn't able to harvest a deer this year. I know he didn't get out as much as he probably would have liked to, but I know next year he'll be getting out more. And hopefully next year he can have some luck and get his first deer down. So stick with him.
All right, guys, out here wrapping up the 2017 season. Another disappointing year for myself. Did not see anything that I was even remotely comfortable to shooting. A lot of little deer, which is okay. I guess that's how it goes sometimes. I'll be back out raring to go for next summer. Luckily for the team, Ryan and Joe had great years. Shot a few, actually 4 great bucks, along with a couple does. So that's great for the team, great for those guys. I could not be happier. So today we are just pulling the last of our cams and checking to see what we got that made it through the season. Now that the season's been over for a couple weeks, and see what we got to look forward to for next year. Alright, this is the picking up the final camera here for 2017. Haven't hunted here or in this area for a while, so I'm excited to see what's on it. We were really excited for this spot coming into the year. We thought we had a good one. A few different game trails coming through, pretty defined trails right through the core area here. But when the season started and we were checking the camera, the deer basically disappeared, which we are hunting public land, so obviously there's no rhyme or reason to that. They can vanish. On top of that, we thought we were down the way from a bedding area, but it looks like we may actually be more on top of it. We bumped a couple coming out a few times, so we may actually be too close. Either way, we found some spots down the way along the same general trail that worked out well, and hopefully will work out well in the future. Either way, 2017 is a wrap.
Also, team member Philip Johnson, my dad, he was out hunting hard most of November. Took a few weeks off of work. He had some awesome encounters, some public property. He had a couple monster bucks chasing a doe along a swamp edge, probably 50 or 60 yards from him during bow season. Unfortunately, he was unable to get it done. He had a couple of nice encounters on that property. A few days later, he had some encounters with some smaller deer, some does that he let walk. So overall, pretty successful season. Unfortunately for him as well, he did not harvest the deer. But sometimes that's how it goes, guys. I know he'll be at it hard again next year, trying to fill some tags. So, and that's a wrap, guys. So, hope you liked the recap. Hope you enjoyed the hunts. Hope you guys had a successful 2017 season. Stick with us for 2018, and good luck to you guys as well, 2018. So, get out there and smack on.
Stay tuned. We appreciate everybody watching. I hope everyone also had a successful season. Remember, it's all about the experience, guys. Get out there, and Michigan has beautiful habitat. So we appreciate you guys watching Team Smack Daddy, and a lot of great things to come in the future. Got several new team members that we're going to be welcoming. So stay tuned for that. I think that's it, guys. So smack on. Stay tuned.